My name's Adam Gray. I'm a software engineer, IBM Cloud Object Storage, and chair of the Cloud Object Storage Test Tool Twig.
Hi, I'm Michael Hord, and I'm the chair for the Cloud Object Storage or Cloud Storage Technologies CST, and that's a community. And this is hosting the Plugfest and the Test Tools activities. Okay, so getting back into it, the S3 is the most widely deployed object storage in the world. And let's clarify one thing right off the bat. So with S3 services going directly to clients, there are no issues. That's working beautifully. It's very well maintained. And so why are we talking about this? So the compatibility between third-party storage vendors, what we're seeing is adoption in the data center with on-prem hybrid cloud. And where this is going is if you look just at a typical data center for Kubernetes or microservices, and just think about a bank, something of that nature. So S3 is going throughout the entire workflow for production systems. So the banks are, they have a preferred storage vendor for a very short time. They merge with other banks, and after 3 to 4 to 5 mergers, you now have a representative list of all the vendors in the industry, and they do not get rid of that set of resource. So those have to work together. And this is using S3 in production, and it's just to run the business. And that's where we get into S3 compatible storage. And that is developed independently, typically. So up to this point, there has not been any forum for developers to go to for a Plugfest or to compare notes. And what we found is that the independent development of those platforms has led to development teams choosing a variety of options in the protocol. But when they're different, you don't have interoperability. And there's also a lot of options, and of course the interpretation of any standard will generate issues. So what we're pointing at is that with the development of AI and other advanced workloads, this really needs an improved set of development resources in the form of a Plugfest, which we just had the presentation on that, but also test tools. So if you look at NFS, Fiber Channel, SCSI, iSCSI, any protocol in the world has all had Plugfests and test tools. That's a required element of a well-adopted standard. And so what we're looking at, the goal, getting to that last bullet, our goal is any-to-any interoperability, and we're trying to move beyond the point design, which is kind of the current practice. Go ahead.
So yeah, you guys all recall what you just heard from Jeff and Frank. It's a difficult situation sometimes, and I'm not gonna, repeat everything they just said, but I wanted to focus on the fact that oftentimes storage developers are kind of isolated. We don't necessarily integrate with how customers are using the storage. Oftentimes customers don't even know about the storage, the implementation, the vendor. It's obscured through several layers of, business logic, or, they just are doing it for some, it's not even part of it. So we are focused on, and foremost, a good customer experience. And then secondly, we are trying to create more efficient situations for storage developers to spend their time on actively developing, their product and innovations instead of, tweaking API things because of a difference or a CIE or something like that. And, it's been emphasized to end that storage deployments are completely hybrid at this point. The bank example is a great one. Lots of data sovereignty. People want their data on-prem. people want to be able to access the cloud, access computing resources, but they don't want to move their data, or they may only want to move a subset of data, and they want to preserve their footprint. So there's difficulty, obviously. It was described we're going off of the documentation that Amazon provides. We're doing reverse engineering, black box testing, looking at change logs, third-party websites to try to create diffs, no roadmap. It can be tough. So through the Plugfest, we found, okay, we're not alone in this. There's a lot of other vendors, a lot of other people, and we're going to test these. Now, the issue is we're all server providers. We're not making the clients. We don't have a lot of clients in the room. We don't have a lot of ISVs in the room. And not all of our tests are designed to run on any implementation. They're designed on my implementation because I'm testing for me. There's a couple open source test suites out there, but we need to be able to utilize the experience of our development, our customer base, where we have stumbled and where we've found things. And we believe that it is important to pass that around the community because chances are I have to work with your system anyway. Sorry. So like I said, customers think it's standard. They hear S3 compatible, they say, okay, it's S3. I ask another developer what that means, and they all say, it doesn't mean anything. It means that we kind of speak the same API. We talked a lot about how most places are incomplete, and that's because things come out all the time that are novel. And some of us specialize in different workflows. Some of us are generalists, and chances are that if you look at any two implementations, there's a diff in the change set. And it's not because of a lack of desire, but there's oftentimes a lack of need. The API is a moving target. Some things are developing for emerging workflows. We've talked all about RDMA, AI, structured storage, and that may not be on the roadmap for your team because your team doesn't do that. Your team is working on, cold storage. And you're not going to be doing vector databases in cold storage. You're more interested in Glacier. So how do we help this? We need to build interoperability test suites, and we need to either harness existing ones and make them easy to use and ubiquitous, or we need to develop new ones.
Great. Thank you so much. So the activity that we're working on has two components, and the slides will be provided. There's a lot of links here. And so up to now, the Plugfests have been face-to-face. But again, right now we're pivoting, and we're going to do a lot more remote testing. And so all this testing is done under NDA, and that's to keep the focus on finding bugs, fixing bugs, and having engineer-to-engineer conversations. And so one of the contributors said that the value of the Plugfest is extremely good because when they find a bug, they go to another company and they encounter the sales team, which says no. And then they finally get down to the support team, and there's a bunch of no's. And so 3 months goes by, no progress whatsoever. And then they have too many other bugs, so they move on. So what we do in the Plugfest, we have the expert peers at the table, and they're able to compare notes, find bugs, and it's really not just like a broad scatter of focus. It's really what needs to be looked at right now. And so we have a couple gateway vendors who are participating. And Gateway, that's between all the multi-cloud. They have a ton of bugs that get into backup, recovery, archive. And this is the customer precious data. And so they see it all for multi-cloud. And so what we have here is a fast path where people can get to know their peers. And this is a normal activity for any protocol in the world. And that's what we're doing. It's really the first forum that this is providing for S3. That's the Plugfest. Here's the list of logos, the folks participating this time. Thank you to everybody in this room for attending. And then the test tools, the whole intent there is to scale. So what we're looking at is taking best practice, all of the different bugs that we're finding, and then compiling that. And this is very similar to what SMB is doing downstairs with the Microsoft SMB protocol. And I believe their test tool is called Terror. And NFS has other, is that correct, the term for the, I think it is, yeah. So what we're doing is an equivalent activity. This is a basic part of any kind of protocol development. And so right now we've gone through phase 1, which was provisional twig. That was last year and early this year. And we were officially approved by the technical council. Now we're underway. We've got a work item developing a white paper. And so this will clarify really a lot of what we're saying in these two different presentations. It'll go more into detail, and Adam will share that in terms of an assessment of the tools in the industry, but also kind of a inventory of what we're finding. We'll be publishing that by December. And right now we've got a bunch of candidate test suites, several of which have been donated or are intended to be donated. And thank you to Dell for their donation of a performance test tool. Seagate has mentioned their test tool is open source. Versity Software, Ceph has from IBM, that's another one. And we're looking to add more. So next year, we're really looking at head down, developing code, and we're not trying to duplicate effort for coding. So we're going to amass the best in class in the world tests that exist now, but then we're going to look at gaps and then cover those gaps. So anything missing for coverage, and then also a framework to make it easy to use and then good to consume what to do next. So go ahead.
Right. So you may think we're repeating ourselves a little bit here, but it's because the Plugfest drives the test tool effort. And so this Plugfest, we took an opportunity to try to run some of these community tests and provide results. Like I personally was working with the MinIO test suite, and I have no affiliation with MinIO, but I did this because I appreciate the contribution they do to open source and the value to the community, and we're finding things using their tool, and we are learning from their tool. And hopefully we plan to take this lesson into developing a better, more comprehensive tool where we can put this in all of our tool chains and resolve 99.9% of our problems in API interoperability. So, getting it to make it a ubiquitous test tool is, that's removing the duplicate effort. But on top of just a tool, we're researching how to best develop and test these things. Lots of regression test suites are, because of experiencing bugs, I guarantee you that everybody's experienced a different class of bug in here, and if we can just catch one that somebody else has gotten and hasn't hit you, you're saving money, you're saving customer frustration, and you're saving your precious lifetime redoing this. So, and the only way we can do this is by engaging with each other. We have to engage with open source. We have to engage with academics. We have to engage with other developers and try to figure out the best way and how people are working with these APIs, how people are developing their software. Because what works for a massive cloud using spinning disk isn't the same as a high performance, flash cluster. And we will not necessarily encounter the same class of bugs until we get there with our product, and we may never. So the community is the key part here, and the vendor neutral part, obviously. I think that it's not a controversial statement to say that I don't think people think that API compliance is very much of a differentiator in terms of selling your product, because like I said, customers think it's commodity. And so avoiding these classification of problems is very advantageous to all of us. And just to mention, any work that we do will be contributed back open source, BSD3 clause. So that's like kind of the idea. We're keeping this out in the open. So here's some of the process here. You know, we mentioned the white paper. We're looking to have this iterative process. I've referred to it in the past as a flywheel or rolling a boulder down, you know, the mountain. We have to build some momentum first. So we're doing the investigation. By the end of the year, we hope to publish the white paper, which should have some conclusions on where we're going. By next year, we're hoping to utilize some of that knowledge in unifying this into a suite or improving existing software via usability, packaging, or contributing existing test cases in our own private repositories back into the open source. And then by that point, hopefully by September next year, we're hooking it into the Plugfest and people are using it and we get feedback and we have new faces, and then we're going to be able to do this some more and increase the velocity, expand the scope, and hopefully, kind of take over the major part of the interoperability issue and expand to things like performance tests or emerging API issues, building different types of things. So we've been focusing on a server side thing because that's who's in the room and we want to test our own products, but we may want to do a reference client or something like that. So that's kind of where we have to visualize this process. And right here, this is the basic roadmap that I was just talking about. Feedback, development, publish, utilize, and proliferate. We really want to expand this to any level of developer. We want to make it accessible to customers. We want to make it accessible and usable by your CIOs who want to be able to evaluate things. We're looking to lower the barrier of entry into working with object storage and avoiding kind of the things that, I've worked on this for almost 15 years now, and I don't want people to have to suffer on things that we've all suffered on before. So I think we have a couple of takeaways, and I'll let Michael finish that up.
Okay, great. So I think we've talked about active participation in both the Plugfest and test tools, how that is synergistic. They both work together. And again, we're looking for a diverse ecosystem. We're doing a lot of outreach to more client vendors. We're also looking at backup, recovery, and disaster recovery solutions. And some of that community was here, so I had some long discussions with them on Monday night. So, and then we're just looking at the end result here is to have a better customer experience. And for any additional information or you want to join us, please contact Adam or myself, and that'd be awesome. And then finally, so this a view of kind of the organization within SNIA. There's a cloud storage technology CST group. That's what I'm chair for. And you can get more information there. There's links in here. We do a bunch of educational webinars. So here's one, the recent one on agentic AI, but also the cloud Plugfest and test tools. What we do is organize, facilitate, and then promote. So within the community, we're generating several activities. And again, there's some information to contact us. Any questions? Great.
Concentrating solely on S3.
So right now we are focusing on S3 because it's, the obvious target. But, I would say it would be remiss to say that we want to expand to beyond that. We want to be all major APIs and future APIs. I will say that, Scott from Microsoft, your team has been a supporter since day one, and they don't even have an S3 API, but they're here because they have things that, interface and deal with that kind of thing. And we do want to contribute back to that support. Jeff's, you saw him before from Google. They have an S3 API, but they also have their own API, and we'd like to see how that works. It is important for us to not just limit it to S3, but to serve the most people, we have to start with the largest target.
Thank you for that question. Thank you. So Frank, you're not going to have a hardball question?
Yeah, I apologize. My voice is starting to go. It's
Yeah.
the last day, and I've been
Yeah.
talking a lot.
Yeah. And so during the conference, we've had so many great hallway conversations with folks. And so, I mean, literally, there's probably 6 more companies that are going to join us remotely. And we have a way to onboard the remote participants. And we're seeing folks have a lot of offshore teams. So we specifically want to promote in India and in Asia, Europe, et cetera, and as well as across the States. So we're very excited about this and love to talk with you after the talk. Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.